I have no doubt that this match, my match against Gordon, it was until now the biggest match in the history of the sport, where everybody would like to see, and now you see like Gordon collecting all the good fruits of his victory, his performance at ADCC. You know, he has such an incredible performance right there, being the first guy to fight in the super fight, but also fighting the whole event at such a young age. And everything that he planned worked in his favor. He was on his day, and of course he trained hard for that. He did that. He made that happen. But about my feelings about the fight, I had like tough years, you know, like the last couple of years was really tough, especially after the pandemic and all that. I'm not only an athlete for a while, I am a father, I am a husband, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a leader of a team. I'm one of the biggest teams in jiu-jitsu. I have so many business, you know, to take care of. And I was 40 years old, you know, and I did all that, tried to manage all that with that big fight against someone that's the top grappler in the world nowadays. It was definitely, for me, it was a huge challenge. It was the biggest challenge of my life. But I'm very proud of myself that I show up and I went there. And I passed through a lot of stuff throughout the camp. If you see, like, on the fight, I have a spot on my head. I don't know if you guys noticed that. There was a spot. Now it's covered, but I got a bad staph infection on my head, right? A couple weeks before the fight. I broke my knee, you know. It was the first time in all ADCCs that I passed through so much, you know, not only emotionally speaking, but also physically and spiritually. It was like a huge battle, but I feel that I overcome all, you know. Of course, sometimes you go there, you fight, and you lose, you know. That can happen. It happened to everyone, even to the champions. Everyone that won there, one day they lost, right? And that day was the day that I lost. You know, I got to swallow a really, like it was a hard pill to swallow, you know. But I felt at the same time a relief, you know, because everybody wants to see that fight. And I feel like I could be selfish with myself. I could be like, just talk with myself here and just say like, oh, I'm not gonna fight. I don't need that fight, you know. And actually I didn't need that fight. But then I was like, at the same time, the community wants the fight. The event needs the fight. And I feel there's 12,000 people there who wants to see that fight. Not only that in the venue, but in the whole world. And you saw like MMA fighters, you saw celebrities, you know, in the sport and all that. Like Joe Rogan was there, you know, and many other like UFC champions were there, like watching, and everybody was excited about it, right? Because the history that I had in the sport, right? But then I lost, you know. So, and at the same time that I feel like happy about like doing that, I also felt like shoot, like I should, like I could do better strategy, you know. I think like I took it out too early. I could like, because the conditions that I had, you know, I felt that I should be a little bit smarter on this strategy. But I think the long time that I took to compete also make me like, I wasn't like active competing like for the past 3 years. And Gord was competing pretty much every month, you know. That makes a huge difference. I brought my whole experience there, but at the same time I was like, ooh, you know, I wasn't like really sharp in the terms of like managing the time and all that. But it is what it is. Like, he was a better opponent there. He won, you know. I try my best under my conditions. Like, I tear my ACL, my meniscus, my knee right now. You ask me about after DCC, how is my life? My life is about like walking and have my knee like buckling, you know, teaching and my knee like get trapped, you know. So I definitely need the surgery, but at the same time I know that my students need me. I don't want to be like the next 6 months, especially in the new season that's coming, walking the crunches and not being able to help my students, you know. So that's my life right now. It's like deciding, like, okay, so do I have to do this surgery or not? But I decide, like, no, I'm not gonna do this surgery. I'm gonna just move on. And you know, I feel like even I could be like super healthy and all that, and I could lose as well, you know. And I have that fire within that I was thinking that I could find a way to win, you know, because I always found a way to win. I fought before in bad conditions, and I find ways to win. But this time was against someone really good, you know, someone that you can make a mistake, you know. And it was a huge lesson for me as a professor, you know. So I can carry this experience with me for the rest of my life, fighting the biggest grappling match in the history of this sport until now, right? Because that can be a bigger one. But until now, this is the biggest for, I think it's going to be for a while, because it was a huge step for us, for the sport. And I can carry those lessons and pass through my students, you know, in terms of like dealing with your mind and injury and all that. Because as a leader, I don't have like someone that comes to me and like, I have my wife, you know, but someone that has more maturity and comes and say, hey, Andrea, like, that's my opinion, you know. It's hard to convince me as a leader if I put something in my mind, like, you know. And yeah, and I've made all the decisions, you know, and at the same time I was training and helping the team. But overall, my satisfaction, it is in the performance that we had, and also the relief after the fight, you know, because truly, like, since the beginning, with all that happened, altercation and everything, you know, that we had, the arguments with Gordon and all that, everything passed, you know. And afterwards we talk, we hug each other, we show the world like our sportsmanship, and we left everything there on the mat, and now it's all past, and now there's new things coming up. And this new big thing coming up right now, like Felipe versus Gordo. But not only Felipe fighting Gordo, it's Felipe training at Atos headquarters to fight probably like his biggest opponent, you know, ever. So that's another step.